Please tune in carefully because you're listening to the Community Link crew on GFM 96.6.
Good evening and welcome to the Community Link show here on Tuesday, the 24th of May. Welcome to the studio, Vicky. You're from Department of Work and Pensions, but you actually work in Jobcentre Plus. Just to explain the difference?
Yeah, Jobcentre Plus is an agency of Department of Work and Pensions. I actually work for Jobcentre Plus in Cedar House. I'm based in Cedar House, but work across Gloucestershire.
Okay, so Cedar House is?
Spa Road, that's the main job centre.
Okay, that's nice and local. Okay, so your role is Disabilities Partnership Manager. What does that mean?
I work with lots of organisations, for example, the NHS, People and Places, Scout Enterprises, Gloucestershire County Council, many organisations who are all concerned with helping people with disabilities back to work.
Okay, so I know that the current coalition government are looking at trying to reduce the number of people on benefits, but the other side of that is encouraging people into work. So is this part of your role, or was your role going before this?
Yeah, it's been going for, I've been working across Gloucestershire for nearly 2 years now. It was in response to some reports about supporting people, particularly with mental health problems, back to work, and it's kind of expanded from there. I work with the Learning Disability Partnership Boards for the council. But yeah, I mean, the new reforms that are bringing in is all about the encouraging people who have not worked before to go back to work, and trying to promote the support services that are available to them.
Okay, so is your role for people with physical and learning disabilities, or just disabilities?
It's
or learning
right
disabilities?
Across the board.
So anybody with a disability.
Yeah.
So do you want to define roughly what disability means for your organisation?
Yeah, I mean, disability, it's not, because that's a very personal thing. It's about anybody who has a health issue or health condition. So when we say disability, if you like, that's just the encompassing term, but it's anybody from who's experiencing maybe anxiety, confidence issues, right the way up to people who may have more severe disability.
So the physical disabilities, the mental health disabilities, and some learning disabilities as well.
Yes, Asperger's syndrome, right across the board.
Okay then. So you're there in recognition of the fact that people might have a disability, but that doesn't preclude them and exclude them from being able to have some gainful employment.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So it's about looking at the individual as the individual.
Yeah,
really,
and
their capability.
Yeah, and looking at what they can do, what sort of job they want to do, and also, more importantly, what support they might need to actually do that job. And that's part of my job, is to go around, find out what support is available and promote that support, because many people don't actually know about all the schemes that are available there.
Sure, and there are quite a few, aren't there?
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
Do you want to outline a few and give examples of how it would work for somebody with a disability?
Yeah, I mean, one of the main ones that is used is called Access to Work. That's funded by Department of Work and Pensions, Jobcentre Plus, and that provides practical help through equipment, maybe adaptations, and also support workers for people who need that support to go back to work. There's Work Choice, which is available for people with more complex disabilities, and that's practical, again, help finding a job and then support when they're in work. And those are the two kind of government schemes that we've got going at the moment, for specifically for people with health conditions or disability.
Sure, because looking at the social model of disability, really, there are people out there who can be quite severely disabled but are still have the capacity to hold down jobs, aren't there?
Absolutely. Nobody, everybody who wants to work should be able to work, and that's what the new project's about.
Sure, okay. So, for example, if I was a wheelchair user and there was difficulty with access to an organisation, and maybe my skills around computers, but the organisation that has a job for me, potentially has a job for me, isn't equipped, it hasn't got the computer equipment for me to use, would you be in a position to try to look at how that can be managed, or is that the responsibility of the organisation?
That is Access to Work that I mentioned earlier. An application can be made to Access to Work. it's, if you like, a joint responsibility between the organisation and then the Access to Work scheme. It's very, very individual. It's absolutely impossible to say you could get this, you could get that, because there has to be a responsibility with the employer as well. But certainly there would be a contribution towards the costs from the department for that, or an application can be made, shall I say, for the contribution of the costs.
Sure, because there is some employment legislation that protects the rights of disabled people, and there's some Equalities Act legislation as well that protects the right of disabled people. But do you find when you do meet disabled people, then they're not aware that they have those protections, those rights?
I mean, the Disability Discrimination Act has now been kind of gone into the Equalities Act. It depends on how social they are, whether they're in groups and that type of thing. I think what I find more is that people don't realise that there's a whole range of support available. So not so much about the acts, but more about what they can actually do. And for a long, long time, we've said that people can't work if you're disabled, or get better before you go back to work. Well, actually, there's lots and lots of proof to say that that if people are working, it's better for their mental health, it's better for their general well-being. So we should be encouraging that. So I think that's more where I'm finding the gap, is the support services, and that there are people there who can actually help.
Sure, okay. With this, some of the disability benefits, for example, disability living allowance, how does that affect somebody if they're working?
Disability living allowance, I'm not a benefits expert, I should really put that out now. I'm a partnership manager. But with disability living allowance, it's not a benefit which is what we call an out-of-work benefit. It's based upon your care needs.
Right.
So if somebody goes back to work, they may review it. They may not take anything away because you may still have the same care needs. It really does depend on what you awarded it for in the first place. But people can work and claim DLA. That's not...
shouldn't be a barrier.
No, absolutely. Like if you're claiming job seekers allowance or employment support allowance, you come off of that benefit when you go back to work 16 hours a week. DLA, you don't necessarily. However, during the appeal, the review process, you may be asked that if you're working, and whether that actually affects the type of care that you're getting. So again, benefits are very personal. It depends on what you've got and why. Okay.
Another question around disability. No, just think Amy distracted me. Thanks, I thought she had a question. Right. What was I going to ask? Right. I was going to ask quite a sensible question. It was around disability. It was a good question as well, Amy. Because you mentioned care needs. If you've got someone who... is eligible to work, can hold down a job, but may have care needs, for example, somebody who is unable to get to the toilet themselves, would you be able to work around that as well to ensure that their carer is able to support them in the workplace?
Yeah, again, an access to work application could be made to have a support worker in work. The other thing that we're seeing more and more of is the personalisation budgets through the council, and personalisation budgets may be used as well for in work as well as at home. So there's going to be quite a range of help that might be available in the future as we see more and more people get personal budgets.
Sure, okay, so it could be interesting times really to see how far people can, really sort of access and infiltrate the world of work based on the support mechanisms that will now be available to them.
Absolutely, and I think that the basic rule of thumb is make the application, talk to somebody, because most barriers can be overcome either through the employment, through the employer, or through access to work or any other scheme personalisation. So I would never turn around to somebody and say, no, you couldn't possibly do it, because I've seen people who can barely walk and they work. Yeah, there are many people who are also wheelchair users, aren't there? And absolutely. People with mental health problems, all sorts of people from all sorts of backgrounds accessing the world of work. Okay, so if we've got somebody out there and they think, oh, maybe that's for me, what's the process? Right, okay, so shall I tell you a little bit about forwards? Sorry, you need to... Sorry, so busy forgot you told us that bit of you. And then you can tell me about the process. All right, forwards is basically a work club. It's not a job club. I must stress that it's not the somebody saying you've got to go back to work. It's basically an amalgamation or a collaboration of a number of agencies. So Together Trust, Jobcentre Plus, Independence Trust, Scout Enterprises, the council, that's the county council and the city council, Working Links, and basically we've all come, adult education. We've all come together because we've got one common purpose. We want to help people with disabilities back to work. So it started off with, because mental health represent nearly 50% of sickness claims, and it's a very, very big problem at the moment. We've started off introducing a mental health work club, and that runs in Gloucester from 10 till 12 in Messenger House in St Michael's Square, Independence Trust. And basically what we're trying to do is deal with those issues that may affect people going back to work. Things like, do I tell my employer about my mental health condition? I've got, I don't have any confidence, maybe managing anxiety, benefits, the whole range of things. Also working with families and carers as well. It's not designed for people necessarily who have got mental health conditions diagnosed. It's for everybody. So if you're anxious about going back to work, if you've got no confidence because after you've been out of work for a while, your confidence does kind of get affected, and you might be really worried about going back to work. Or if it's somebody in a day centre, bipolar, somebody who's accessing help through the hospital, then it's, anybody can come along. So it's not a label that you've got a mental health issue if you use this work club. It's just there for somebody to kind of overcome some of those barriers.
Sure. We're
going to do things like the CV preparation, with basic skills, the whole range of things really, and it's all provided. Everybody's kind of chipping in, and that's the great thing about it. It's a partnership, and we're going to go right across Gloucestershire and get into the communities as well. So it's not just it's Gloucester at the moment and Colford. But we will be starting soon in Cheltenham and Stroud, and it doesn't matter what benefit you're on, it doesn't matter if you're in work, it doesn't matter, just anybody can really come along. It's just about getting those work skills up together and getting people jobs.
So increasing confidence.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Gloucester one, has that started yet?
Yep. Wednesday mornings, 10 till 12. Like I said, in Messenger House, and in Colford on a Friday, every other Friday, again 10 till 12 at Hill House.
Okay, and you can join it at any stage. There's no sort of starting date for anybody.
No, we also have resources, so people can come in and do job search, use the computers, construct their CV, have one-to-one help if they want advice. And it's just literally drop in. So if people are interested, then they can, the coordinator is a lady called Beth Leo, and her email address is beth.leo@workinglinks.co.uk.
Is that Leo?
Leo, yeah. And I'll try and get some information put on the website as well, so that people can go on the website. Or if they go into their local job centre, their job centre will know. And if they've got a person who they see in the NHS, they will know as well, and Independence Trust. So,
what's the DW Department for Work and Pensions website, or Jobcentre Plus website?
It's well, we don't have a local one anymore.
No, it's national,
Direct
isn't it?
Gov. It won't be on there, unfortunately, because it's a local initiative.
Sure, but it'll be on the Working Links website.
But it will be on the Working Links, and we'll get it onto yours. Or it's just available through the job centres, or just lots and lots of agencies are involved. So if you know somebody, just talk. Mohammed Jinwala is involved, so if you know somebody, just ask them. I mean, I'm sure they'll put you in the direction of forwards.
Sure. Okay, so because it's drop-in, you don't actually have to make a referral. Pop along.
No, just pop along.
What number of Messenger House?
It's on St Michael's Square. I think it's 18. Isn't it? 18 to
15, 18, isn't it?
So you can't miss it. It's in the main kind of Messenger House building.
Yeah, the same building as Carers Gloucestershire, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's on the first floor, whereas Carers Gloucestershire, I think, is on the next one. Isn't it?
It is. Yeah, a bit of a climb. Yes. Okay. So quite easy to find. There's parking across the road. People drive.
Yeah.
And they can come along. It's a free of charge service.
Completely. Yep.
Okay.
And we talk about voluntary work, permitted work. It's not just about getting people. We would like people, obviously, to progress and come off of benefits and go into full-time work, because that just makes them so much better off. But we will talk about voluntary work and getting people to kind of volunteer in the communities. Fair shares are involved. Third sector volunteers are involved. So as you can see, there's lots and lots of people who are kind of really committed to taking this forward.
Sure. Brilliant. Well, hopefully there will be some success. Just remind us of the days and the times for Gloucester and Colford.
Gloucester is Wednesdays 10 till 12 in Messenger House, and Hill House every other Friday in Colford.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for coming in.
Gloucester FM Radio, with the people, for the people, serving the community.